look into questionable fandom with Alex and normally Casey, but Casey couldn't make it this week, so it's just with me. And this is our 7th episode. It's gonna be a different episode than normal. I'm gonna go over what I've been doing this past week, and then I'm honestly just gonna talk about some random stuff that's on my mind, or like stuff that I'm interested in. And that kind of stuff. Don't know how long this episode is gonna be. I'm gonna try to make it about 30 minutes. So it's gonna be a short one. But I wanted something to be posted this week. I didn't want to miss a week of it. So I'll just get into it. I've still been playing GTA Online. Trying to save up money for the casino DLC coming soon. Just more of the same old, same old. Won't get to play as much here soon, since I'm about to start a new job, finally, after 2 months of unemployment. Let's see, I also had my bi-weekly D&D game this weekend. And the session went about the way I expected, because like I said last time, my old character got killed. He was murdered by a party member. But someone missed a session who was really close. His character was really close to my character. And he was back this week. So it's like, I know a good chunk of the game is going to be dealing with that. And my character, I didn't know I was going to die, so I was kind of rushing to I wasn't really rushing to make a character, but I didn't have a character ready, so I couldn't be introduced until this week. So pretty much 90% of the session was a memorial service for my old character. It was actually kind of nice, but yeah, I mean, with all that said, I pretty much got like 5 minutes of actual playing my new character. I tried to introduce myself into the group, but there was just so much going on that everyone kind of just blew it off. But that was understandable. See, me and Casey also did our Star Wars game this weekend, which will skip a lot of it. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. It was a busy Saturday, but I'll wait till next week when Casey's back and we can go more into it, so you have both of our perspectives. And I did continue my traditional Sunday game of Gloomhaven. I had fun. We played a couple pretty much random missions. I mean, my current character got to max level. I honestly may not continue playing it for much longer with this group. I may actually just use my new job as an excuse to bail on it. But just so people don't think I'm a complete jerk, I know another guy who probably would be a good fit for the group and their play style. So I'm going to talk to him, see if he wants to take my place, and talk to them and see if they want him to be a replacement. I mean, I also get the Gloomhaven fixed by playing the video game, the digital version of it, when it comes out soon. Because I do enjoy the game quite a bit. It's just, I don't care for the group. If I got it on digital, I'd like me and Casey to do a playthrough of him. Like maybe record our gameplay and post it on YouTube or stream it on Twitch while we play it. Or both. I mean, nothing says we couldn't do both. Yeah, and I also played Transformer TCG this weekend. That was part of what was Saturday. We had a little casual release weekend tournament. Everyone got 6 packs and they had to build a team of 25 Transformers and 25 battle cards for the people who know how the game works. And we just pretty much did a little 3-round tournament. It was a lot of fun. The people that play at the local store are pretty casual about it, so it's not like we don't have any of those hyper competitive players. So that kind of worked out. Like, that kind of keeps my interest in it, where people are fairly casual about it. I do need to get it out more and probably get up to the game store more and play it some more, but maybe with this new job I actually will, because I will be driving around, so I may be in the area at the end of the day and just swing by there and do a pickup game or two of it. That's about all that I've been playing. I really don't have much on what I've been watching. I just pretty much have been all week been watching Summer Games Done Quick, which is I just love watching it. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch a bunch of it on YouTube for the games I'm interested in and missed because of their engagements. Like, they do a task block where it says tool assisted speedruns. So pretty much like if there's a frame perfect trick, all that kind of speedrun is going to be done perfectly every time. Because if the person screws it up, they can back up, try it again, and just keep doing it over and over until they actually succeed. And there's a bunch of stuff to it, but it's always crazy what they can do with that kind of stuff. Because they can really break game. I don't know how, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy what they can do with the tools as the speedruns. And as far as what I've been reading, it's pretty much D&D books and the Star Wars RPG book. Trying to do character ideas for both of them. I did mean to read the Pokemon manga. I did not get to it this week, but that was okay because So we're going to miss a Pokemon Minute or whatever we're calling it this week, but that's fine because Casey's not here. And I talked to him earlier. He never got a chance to read any of it, so we were going to miss it anyways. And another thing on Summer Games Done Quick, they actually did manage to raise over $3 million for Doctors Without Borders. So that's actually was pretty awesome to see. I got to watch the end of it live last night when I should have been sleeping. But I guess I kind of leads into another thing I wanted to talk about. I guess kind of more ramble about was like how much I watch like Twitch and people playing video games. I know for some people that's kind of strange. And honestly, with me, a lot of the people I watch, I really don't care about what game they're playing. I'm watching them because they're entertaining. I mean, it's amusing. It's like watching a comedy special, kind of. But they're just playing a video game while they talk. Kind of like a podcast, but with video games. But I know, like, Casey doesn't enjoy watching that kind of stuff. And I don't know what it is about watching it live. I like so much better than watching it on YouTube. Pretty much since I found Twitch, I haven't really watched Let's Plays on YouTube anymore. It's just a live experience on that so much better. But yeah, with like the whole Let's Plays and everything, I kind of want to get into it myself on Twitch. But the way my house, I live with a roommate, and the way we got the house set up at the moment, we just basically have a computer room because we like playing games at the same time with each other. So it just makes talking easier. But he's been streaming on Twitch, and well, I kind of want to help support him at first more. So I've been putting my dreams of being on Twitch aside for a moment while let him build up an audience. And we're going to do some rearranging in the house where it's kind of hard to talk about, or a lot to talk about. But pretty much we're going to be separating the computer so we're not in the same room, so we could, if we wanted to, could both live stream at the same time and probably try to help each other, feed off of each other's audiences. Which, if you know how Twitch works, it's like we could do like multi-streams with each other. Like when one of us gets done, if their one is still going, we can raid them and send our audience over there to them. We can do that kind of stuff. We can basically support each other. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Like I said, Casey really isn't into this kind of stuff, so taking the opportunity of him not being here to talk about it. And another thing that I'm way into that he's not is Battletech, the miniatures game, board game, whatever you want to call it. People would make it call it a board game. I've always considered it a miniatures game, but I know a lot of miniatures gamers won't consider it a miniatures game because it uses map sheets. It has hexes for movement. You're not measuring all the time. But, I mean, there are rules for using a hex list, and you can use, like, your miniature terrain on it. I mean, it is 1/28 scale, so not too many games, at least over here in America, that are that scale. Because I know I've looked for, like, terrain and stuff for it, and see, all of this stuff in like England, it's like, man, I kind of want to order it, but man, it's expensive to ship. That's honestly partly why I got a 3D printer, which I really need to get set up all the way. I've been struggling with it and just honestly not wanting to take the time to do it. So it's mostly my own fault there, but that's a different story. As probably the longest game, or game I've been playing the longest, next to maybe D&D and Axis and Allies. One of those three games are great oldest games that I still play, or like playing, that I used to play back in the day when I was a kid. And I really don't know which one I ever played first. I want to say it was Axis and Allies was the first game I played, which I've bought, I think, every single set of it, of the board game, since I really had the money to do it. I got into it. So I don't have like the OG release, so it's like the second edition of the original release. The Milton Bradley one. I've gotten a couple of copies of it. Yeah, I mean, pretty much if it's Axis Allies, I got it. All the way up to and including Axis Allies and Zombie. That's how much I like the game. But yeah, like I said, I've been playing Battletech since I was 10, 11, 12, somewhere around that range. And I've enjoyed every single minute of it. I kind of dread thinking of how much money I've spent on stuff for that game. I'd literally have in one of the rooms in my house probably close to 1,000 miniatures for the game. And I got more on the way for it. And if Catalyst releases more, I will have more. I don't have that many metal miniatures, but they're expensive. But I'm not opposed to buying them. I actually have small collection. Man, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, we were playing a game where we were a clan unit. A friend was running it, and I had a binder, which if no one knows what that is basically 10 mechs. There's some more mixes to it, but it's basically 10 of the combat units. I had a list of what I had, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to order the miniatures. I wanted to get some metal miniatures, so I ordered the miniatures for my list and painted them up. Actually, there's some of the better painted miniatures, and I still have them. I do have like some of the specialty miniature mechs that are like the super heavies. I have most of my collection's unpainted. I do have a fair number painted. It's just far more unpainted. That's another thing I need to kind of make time in my life for. Is just painting miniatures. Brought me into Battletech was the gameplay. It's fairly simple, yet so deep on what you can do. You can keep the game fairly simple, fairly quick moving, but the depth, it's pretty much how much time you want to put into it. It has something. You can get super detailed on it, or you can keep it fairly abstract. These days, it doubly so. Also, the lore of the universe got me into it quite a bit. I mean, they do have fairly rich storytelling. It's not going to be, I mean, I'll be honest, it's not going to be as good as something like A Song of Fire and Ice or A Wheel of Time even, but they do try to keep from contradicting themselves. It's not going to be like old school expanded universe Star Wars where the writers don't care about what their writers have wrote about. Because honestly, most of the writers on Battletech are fans of Battletech. So, which I mean, I'm not saying that the Star Wars writers aren't fans of Star Wars, but the Battletech guys make sure they don't contradict each other. So the lore is fairly tight, but like if I said though, there is still contradictions and they still retcon stuff, but they do try to keep it to a minimum. But given it's a series that has 30 or 40 different writers, does make it kind of hard not to run into that kind of stuff. I will say on the Battletech thing, my favorite faction in it, which I don't know what it says about me, is Ward of Blake. I guess it's because I tend to be the one who runs the Battletech game so much, so I tend to play the bad guys, and Ward of Blake are honestly just a fun bad guy to play, because there's pretty much no rules on what they'll do. I mean, given that, like in the end days of the Jihad, which is, they did basically a holy war against a whole known space in the universe, because they didn't get their way. But when they were losing the war, surprise, but they were losing the war, they actually pretty much did scorched earth tactic stuff. At one point, they held Earth. It's interstellar, so humanity is spread out over thousands of worlds. But Word of Blake held Earth. And when they were about to lose Earth, they actually dropped dirty nuclear weapons on Earth to kind of just screw it up for everyone. To them, the conquering forces, to the rest of the universe, the liberating forces. But I mean, that kind of stuff just honestly makes them fun to play, because in the Battletech universe, there's what they call the Ares Conventions, which is pretty much Geneva Conventions that are dictating the rules of war. And in the Battletech universe, pretty much made war an acceptable practice, not a frown upon one. But with the Word of Blake, they did not follow the first rule of that, really, if it was to their advantage to break it. But yeah, that's why they're probably my favorite group play. But I do like the clans, which are pretty much genetic super soldiers that come back into the inner sphere to conquer it. Well, conquer it, liberate it. It's kind of depending on whose point of view you're looking at that situation from. But they're kind of fun to play to extent. They got like all these different rules on restricting how they do combat. I mean, there are like 5 great houses in the inner sphere, and they're all kind of based off of different cultures. Like they got the Draconis Combine, which is a heavy medieval Japanese culture to them, or feel to them. But they're actually, surprisingly enough, on the list, they're actually probably the one house that has the greatest Middle Eastern descent people. But next to them, you got the Lyran Alliance, which has a real heavy German, like Imperial German feel to them. And then below them, you got the Free Worlds League, which is, they try to be like a democracy that has mixed results. as one would expect. I will say all the great houses, pretty much the whole Innisphere is kind of a feudal system. But then next to the Free Worlds Leagues, you have the Capellan Confederation, which is a heavy Chinese. Kind of used to be kind of more of an imperial China. More recent in the timeline, it's become more of a communist China feel to it. And then next to them, you have the Federated Sons, which is kind of an English Great Britain influence on them. And the border, they're in a sphere, and each house pretty much only touches two of its neighbors. So there's two they don't touch, more or less. So border friction is going to be super common between the ones they touch. And then the last major power in the Innisphere is basically a corporation. It's called Comstar. They control the communication network throughout the Innisphere. And the previously mentioned Word of Blake is an offshoot of it, because they used to be like a super fanatic group, and then during the storyline of the game, they secularized themselves. But anyways, they run the communication network in the Innisphere, and they're also kind of like the postal service. So they're like AT&T meets FedEx in a sense. But yeah, that's pretty much a rundown on the major powers, and then there's minor powers on the outlying systems near the wild or uncharted space. That's called the periphery. And then the clans are like way, their home worlds are way away from the Innisphere. It's like a month's travel to get between the Innisphere and the clan space. But I guess a little bit about the history on Battletech is there used to be the five major powers used to war all the time, and then there was a sixth power basically around Earth that held Earth and like the surrounding areas, which actually had a large like American and Russian influence because the game was done in the 80s, so America and Russia were the superpowers at the time. So they got the prime worlds around Earth. So the rich worlds, they had all the money because they were the superpowers when they made the story. But that government united everyone in pretty much in a league. It was called the Tsar League. It was basically Space UN. So it was effectively one government, but they had a lot of freedoms to do what they wanted in their own realms. After the six major powers grouped up, they conquered the periphery. They had a bunch of issues conquering remote parts of space and not keeping an occupation force. Crazy that. But that lasted hundreds of years, I want to say. I don't have notes in front of me. I'm kind of just rambly, and I don't want to look it up. But it lasted quite a while, and then the line that was leading the Tsar League fell apart. They were all assassinated. I say it fell apart, but they were all assassinated, and someone took over. But the military force of the Tsar League liberated Earth, took out all the people loyal to the usurper, conquered his realm, and just pretty much ravaged it. Afterwards, the five major powers started to fight over who should inherit the Tsar League. The military force pretty much said, you know what, we're not picking sides, and the bulk of the force left the Innisphere. They were like, we're just going to go find our new homes, and y'all do what you want to do, basically. Which the five major powers pretty much decided to fight wars for hundreds of years with each other. But at this point in history, it's not really important why they're fighting. They're just ancient enemies at this point, so they're going to continue to fight until the clans show up, they reunite, blah, blah, blah. Classic storytelling there, but not want to go into full history. But if it sounds interesting, a lot of the books are like online as PDFs, and there's probably close to 100 novels because you got the classic Battletech line, and then you got the Dark Age stuff, which there's a whole story there. It's basically the company that first started Battletech went bankrupt, and another company bought the rights, and instead of trying to continue the story where it was left off, jumped like 100 years or so into the future and just started telling their own stories. But since then, another company licensed the rights to continue the old game, so suddenly when they were beginning to advance the storyline, they had where they were and they knew where they were going, which is the Jihad period. Is what it basically turned into. If it sounds interesting to you, you can find the fiction online, you can find the game books. Maybe one of the lucky ones that have a local group that plays it on a regular basis. And from what I've seen, most groups want to bring in new blood into their games because it helps it grow. And I'm going to cut the episode here. I guess I need to pull up all our social stuff. As I'm going to try to cut out as much of it as possible, but I'm sure hear some fireworks in the background. I apologize for that. I live in a big city, and some people are just jerks like that, or they'll basically are breaking the law by using fireworks when they're not supposed to. But it's a time of the year where, like, the police will turn a blind eye to it. But that's gonna be it for this episode 7 of the show. I know it's going to be strange. It's definitely short, but hopefully next week we'll be back to normal. And me and Casey, we're running a poll on Facebook. So if you're one of the people that listens to the show but doesn't follow us on Facebook, we got a poll up asking if people want us to watch Doom Patrol and give a breakdown of what we think of it, or if you want us to watch Good Omens and do a breakdown, give our thoughts on them. That'll be the episode coming out on August 6th, because that previous weekend where we would normally record, me and Casey are going to be at Gen Con. But we still want to give you content. Like I said, if you listen to us but don't follow us on Facebook, which you can find us on Facebook is Questionable Fandom Podcast. Just search right on Facebook, it'll come up. And we got the poll running there. I want to say from when this episode drops, there will be a week left on it. And at the moment, Good Omens is winning. If you want to find us on Instagram or Patreon, on both of those, we're Questionable Fandom, all one word. If you want to support us on Patreon, we'll appreciate it. We're trying to come up with exclusive content for Patreons. Because right now, Patreon gets... like the $5 tier and up, you get an episode on Sunday night. It's going to be in the raw form, unedited. Honestly, this week's episode, there's going to be cussing in it. But in the normal feed, there won't be. As you know, this one, there's no cussing on it. I'm going to cut all that out. But I will say that the raw feed will be at times not safe for work. And there will be a lot of pauses in it. But that is something we offer to patrons. And like at the $10 and above tier, we post a link to our show notes. This week is going to be kind of slim, because I kind of winged most of it, because it was the last minute that came up that I was going to have to record by myself. But yeah, like I said, on Instagram and Patreon, it's both Questionable Fandom on both of those. Casey runs Instagram. I'm trying to push him to post more stuff on there, because there's not much there. And if you got any questions, comments, feedback, whatever, or something you think we should look into that looks interesting to us, you can email us at qf.mailbag@gmail.com. Me and Casey are both pretty good about checking it. But that's pretty much going to be it for this episode. Hopefully Casey should be back next week, so we should be back to normal next week. And I'll talk to you again in episode 8.